Hi, this is Victor Chang with Book Marshall Productions. Today I want to talk to you about the topic of positioning. Positioning, it's a very classic marketing book by Al Ries and Jack Trout, I think. And it's a very fundamentally, very powerful marketing concept that's, I think, very fundamental that a lot of companies miss. And a lot of professional marketers and CEOs miss. And here's the essence of positioning. The positioning is being known for one thing. Okay? And when your company is known for just the one thing, and it's a very focused thing, it's much easier to get customers, much easier to attract prospects, and much easier to grow your business. So for many years, FedEx, for example, was positioned around being the overnight delivery service, right? And they built a Fortune 500 company on the back of that one sort of idea. When you needed something, send something positively, absolutely overnight, you'd use FedEx. For many years, Domino's Pizza did the same thing. They had a promise of being fast. So they didn't promise their pizza tasted good. They didn't promise the pizza would be anything else. They promised it would get there fast and still be hot. And they built a Fortune 500 company on that positioning. And so positioning is a very useful tool. I just found something very interesting actually I wanted to share with you, which is the reason I decided to do this video. I was walking at the mall the other day and I saw sort of an ad for a women's jeans, and which obviously is not something I normally look at, but it was a very funny ad and it sort of caught my attention. And it was a photo of a woman probably in her late 30s, probably actually more like early 40s. And the title of the ad was "Not Your Daughter's Jeans," right? And I guess the company name or maybe the brand name was NYDJ, which is the initials for the acronym stands for "Not Your Daughter's Jeans." And apparently, it's these jeans that have like I guess like spandex or sort of tummy tucking types of support materials. I'm not really sure what the proper term is for these kinds of things, but it makes you look thinner, basically. So for the mom who's got like a teenage daughter, where the teenager sort of naturally fits into sort of the jeans that are very fashionable and stylish. The moms apparently need a little more help, and so these pairs of jeans have been designed just for moms, and it's to kind of get them to sort of squeeze in, for lack of a better phrase, into these jeans that look fantastic, but you need some sort of modern technology assistance, I guess, in terms of fabrics to sort of make that shape sort of fit. Anyway, I thought it was sort of, very, very humorous. Obviously, it's not a topic I normally encounter, but it was very clear positioning, right? It's sort of a jeans meant for moms with daughters that wear like good-looking jeans, and the moms want to partake too, but they need some help. And so, I don't know, I didn't do any more research on the company, but it just stuck in my mind. It was such a clear message of who it's for. And so that's why I thought it was a very, very powerful example. And in working with some of our clients in terms of producing book commercials, I found this issue of positioning that I did not initially think was, as important as I do now. But I found that when you're writing a book commercial or publishing a book on behalf of a client or for yourself, for that matter, it's a unique opportunity to get your position out into the marketplace, to say to the world that this is what you represent. And the easiest way to position yourself is to be known for either one kind of product or service that's extraordinarily unique, or to be known for serving one particular audience or type of customer that's extraordinarily unique. And I'll give you some examples of both. So I have one client that runs a marketing services company, and they do sort of internet marketing services. And so, as you might guess, there are a lot of companies who provide that kind of service. And in working with them and producing a book commercial, I sort of discovered that they have a very unique specialty that they don't really talk about. They sort of developed a methodology for marketing online very expensive products and services, so like $2,000 to $150,000 items, right, and services, and so very different than the Amazon.com click here buy now kind of thing. You don't like click here buy now and buy a nuclear reactor, right, or a jet engine or something extremely expensive. That whole Amazon.com sort of shopping cart model doesn't work, and this person sort of had developed this methodology for marketing and sort of selling products online that were extremely expensive. And so we've carved out a positioning for this person, this client, and made them the king of big ticket e-commerce, right? So we invented a name, big ticket e-commerce. And now he's the worldwide expert on big ticket e-commerce. And it's funny because we sort of did research beforehand, before we decided on that sort of positioning, and before making that the title of his book, we looked to see if there were any other internet marketing type experts and services companies that were working exclusively with high-ticket items and services. And there really weren't, or not very prominent. So we decided that we help them claim the space. And so if you go look for big ticket e-commerce online or in the online bookstore, you'll find his book commercial. And it's sort of a very powerful tool. I had another client that were a couple that husband and wife were both sort of attorneys with their own respective practices, and they had developed, one was sort of an intellectual property type of attorney, patents, trademarks, and the other person was estate planning. So asset protection, how to protect your assets from major lawsuits, that kind of stuff. And they were sort of serving a wide range of companies, and they were sort of telling the world that we would sort of handle all your needs in these two areas. And as you might know, there are a lot of attorneys who sort of do things that seem very similar. And one thing we sort of noticed in working with them is that they had a specialty that unfortunately they didn't talk about again, and this is sort of very common. They were very good at serving one particular industry, and it was an industry that was largely ignored by every other attorney, practically speaking, and they had sort of done business with maybe half of the top firms combined. And so that was a very powerful message, and we decided to sort of build a book commercial around that and made them sort of the industry titans, really, of this particular industry. So those are two examples of positioning around a particular audience. It's a very powerful tool. Think of what you offer, what you sell. Can you sell it only to men? Can you only sell it to women? Can you sell it only to big companies, only to small companies? Can you serve only one particular demographic? Right now you hear a lot in the media, the Hispanic population is one of the fastest growing consumer spending populations in the United States right now. And so there are entire divisions being set up to target marketing around that. So those are all examples sort of positioning. And you can also position yourself around a particular kind of product or service that's extremely unique. So for example, the book commercial. So that's the positioning that my companies have taken, and certainly I've adopted as well. I mean, I sort of constantly introduce myself as the inventor of the book commercial. I constantly refer to the book commercial, and it's because it's a product and service that I developed. I invented it. And it's something more than sort of taking a lot of pre-existing types of marketing, sort of a blend of the infomercial, blending with sort of book publishing and sort of authority-based marketing, sort of blending the two together, or all three together, into book commercial marketing. But it's a methodology I helped develop, and it's something that we sort of position our company around. We don't do, there are lots of things you could do in terms of marketing and services, but we just focus on book commercials. So we just sort of, when you want a book commercial, you talk to us. If you want email marketing, faxes, brochures, television infomercials, whatever, all the other things, you find other people. But when it comes to book commercials, we're the worldwide experts. And that's another tip for you. When you're thinking about positioning your company, think hard about what you could be known for. You don't want to be one of many people. You want to sort of invent your category. So for the three companies I mentioned that are all sort of book commercial type clients, we've invented a category for each one. So one of them was in big ticket e-commerce. Another one was in sort of intellectual property asset protection for a very particular industry. And for my company, it's around being the leaders and the inventors and producers of book commercial. So all those are very useful tools, and once you decide on the positioning, you got to communicate it. It's interesting. A lot of the homework I do with commercial clients is figuring out what they're good at, what they're unique at, and making sure that comes through and comes across up front and center. And if you have a specialty, and you'd be surprised, actually a lot more companies have specialties in reality, but not necessarily that's conveyed in their perception. So you probably have a particular type of customer you're very good at serving, a very particular type of service that you're very good at delivering, or a very particular set of type of products that are sort of uniquely yours. And you got to communicate it. If you don't communicate, it's like, what's the point, right? And so for us anyway, we try to communicate that usually in a book title of a book commercial, up front and center, make it real obvious what you're known for, what you're the worldwide experts in, and get that message across. And it takes an entire book, at least in our cases, to sort of make that point, because it sort of delivers the thought, the idea that you're the credible expert, you've published a book on the topic, and you sort of explained your idea, your methodologies, and your key concepts, in a very credible format. And all that helps them just remember what you're known for. And so that's sort of my tip for today. Think very carefully about the positioning of your own company, what you can be known for, and also once you've done that, make sure you communicate that everywhere. You want to communicate it, if you're going to do a book commercial, certainly on the cover of your book commercial. You want to communicate on your website, when you answer the phone, in your sales presentations. Your receptionist should know it, your telephone salespeople should know it, every direct mail piece should reference it. And when you're known for something very unique, it's a lot easier to stand out, it's a lot easier to get business, and very importantly too, it's a lot easier to get referrals. When you stand for something very simple and very easy to remember that's unique, it's a lot easier to get referrals. So even today, when I go to cocktail parties, social gatherings, even to my kids' events, when I'm sort of hanging out with the other parents watching the kids play, they ask me what do I do. I talk about I'm the inventor of the book commercial. I've developed this service that helps CEOs and marketing executives produce book commercials in less than 60 days, and like that's all we do. And usually the case, a lot of these parents, they're not necessarily my type of clients, but they remember it. And I've gotten referrals from people they know where they think it would be appropriate. So it's a very easy tool. You can think of the same thing for FedEx, when you were referring other friends to FedEx, when you need something sent overnight, to Domino's when you want a pizza fast. And for all these companies that do a very good job of positioning, it just makes it very easy to sort of get customers and to get referrals. So that's my thought for today. Positioning is a very powerful concept, very powerful tool, and I urge you to look into it for your own company if you aren't already. Thanks and have a great day.